Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just give you a brief explanation of the lab. And I mean brief. So you still have to read the handout because the handout has all of the gory details. But I'm just going to just go over it briefly. But I wanted to show you one thing right away. When I was going over the syllabus, I said that every lab handout has a point breakthrough. So this is what I mean. So here's the grading. So you get 1 point if you complete all of the Excel exercises. You get 1 point if you get the sig figs for the measurements and calculations and results correctly. You get 1 point if you do the calculations and results correctly. Right? This is sig figs. This is the actual calculations. And you get 2 points if you answer the questions correctly. So that adds up to 5. Okay. So this is, okay, so again, this lab is about significant figures in Excel. So, I mean, it's kind of silly, but it serves its purpose. So what you want to do, so we want to get random errors. And so what we want to do is we want to measure the length and the width of this magazine. So since this is online, you have to somehow come up with a meter stick. And your meter stick has to have millimeter spacings. If you can't do that, send me an email, and I'll just send you the data. It's sort of boring, right? But try to come up with a meter stick with millimeter spacings. And then you can use a magazine, a journal, a book, anything, like this. Okay, so we want to get errors, right? We want to get errors. I mean, think about it. If I were really wanting to measure the dimensions of this thing, I would put the meter stick right by an edge, right? I'd line it up on an edge, then I would just read it, But come on, we don't want to do that because we want to get errors, So this is how I want you to do it. So you have to do this 10 times for the length, 10 times for the width. So what you do, instead of putting it down here, which a reasonable person would do, you put it in the middle, right? And you do not line it up with a mark on the meter stick, So you just put it like that. And so, of course, you don't know if it's perfectly parallel, right? Now, the smallest division is a millimeter. So what's the rule? You have to estimate to 1/10 of a millimeter, which is not easy, right? Okay, so again, you just put it in the middle somewhere. You record this to 1/10 of a millimeter. You record that to 1/10 of a millimeter. So, come on. So this is your data table. Come on. Can you just do what I ask you to do, please? Golly whiz. Come on now. Be nice to me. There you go. All right, this is the data table. So 10 trials. So let's just call this the X, right? So this is X1, this is X2, right? So X1 and X2. And you do that 10 times, you just switch it over. And again, you do not put it here or here, because that's too easy. You got to put it in the middle, so you get errors. And then look at you don't keep putting it. You don't put it the same place. You keep mixing it around, right? Mixing it around, moving it around. Okay. All right. So then you get Y1, Y1 and Y2. Now notice, usually I don't. Well, it depends. Sometimes I don't put what the units have to be. When I do put the units, you have to put these in the units I asked for. Okay, so look, you're probably going to be, writing your data down in, centimeters or millimeters or something like that. But when you put it in your lab report, I want this to be in meters. Why do I want that? Because I want you to, learn how to convert. All right. So this has to be meters, 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 meters. Okay. All right. So then. So that's the raw. Well, that's not the raw, but that's the data. Then of course you want to know what the dimensions are, right? And so you're going to subtract to get the all your length measurements. You'll subtract to get all your width measurements. Then you're going to find the average. What is that? I don't know. And the standard deviation, standard errors, and all that. I don't know what happened here. It's supposed to be lines here. I don't know. Okay? And then you write all your results. And just follow instructions, okay? Just follow the instructions. All right? But here's the important thing. So, all right. So that's the data part. And then I have some questions. So this is usually one that trips people up, so I'm going to talk about it. What percentage of your length measurements fall within the range L plus or minus sigma? Okay, so I'm just going to make up, so I'm going to go over here now. So I'm just going to make up some numbers which are probably total garbage. I'm going to make it easy. L average is 10 centimeters. Sigma L is 1 centimeter. So L average plus or minus 1 standard deviation, what is that? It goes 9 centimeters to 11 centimeters. Okay, right? Okay, so what you have to do, you have your 10 measurements, right? So what you have to do, you have to look at your 10 measurements and figure out how many of your 10 measurements are within this range and calculate the percent. So like if there's 9, then it would be 90%. Do the same thing with the width. Now let's do this one. This says, here, how about 2 sigma? Well, L average plus or minus 2 sigma. Now 2 sigma is 2, correct? So it would be 8 centimeters to 12 centimeters. So now, again, you just look at your data and you see how many measurements are between 8 and 12. Right? That's all it is, okay? Anyway, answer the questions, refer to your handouts, and you should be able to answer all of the questions. This here, it's just basically you're copying the results from the first page. And all right, now one more thing I want to show you. So once in a while, I'll write this comments for our students file. So this is hopefully useful. Come on, go away. Okay. All right, so this is just some reminders. Everything must be typed. You must submit your completed Excel worksheet. Your lab report should include the following items. Completed data, so all this, right? This is the data in meters. The calculations, here's all the calculations. The results, okay? With the correct units and the correct number of sig figs where required. So you have to read your handout carefully because I sometimes specify, I want this in 2 sig figs or 3 sig figs or whatever, Okay. You also have to include the answers to all of the questions. So all of these questions, you have to answer them. And again, this is on Canvas, So you can just copy it and just type in the answers. Real nice. All right, that is all.